Matt King was one of those people who turned up, and I don't know what he thinks about vaccines or anything like that, but he obviously felt very strongly that the way in which a good quantum of New Zealand had been frozen out of our society was wrong too. What happened if the protest had carried on for, I don't know, stayed the weekend or something like that? I don't know. The fact that it became essentially an occupation, well, I have the same view about Maori occupations, as well. For God's sake, go home. So, and the fact that they stayed there for weeks and then it all turned out the way it turned out, I had a problem. But one of those people that was there and actually created a political party for himself out of it was Matt King, and he was a former Member of Parliament. He and Winston Peters were trespassed by the Speaker. We won't even go there. But he joins me on the line now. Matt, you're in, when you say you're in my neck of the woods, you're in what? You're in Otago.
Yes. G'day. How you doing? How you doing?
Well. I'm doing well.
Yeah. I'm in a beautiful part of the country. I came from Queenstown. I'm just arriving in Cromwell. I'm on my way to Dunedin on a bit of a Democracy NZ roadshow, and I did not realise that you were in the lovely valley just that we came through.
The Gibson Valley, yeah. It's not looking all that lovely at the moment.
Yeah.
It needs a bit of snow. Can I just ask you, you say, and the reason you're on the show is you say you're being cancelled. What does that mean?
Look, I've just struck a bit of misinformation being spread by some people, the media and some other individuals who I don't know their identities have been ringing various venues that I have booked and put on my Facebook to announce that I'm doing where I'm going to be, and they're ringing up and making false statements about me to try and scare people away and upsetting people. And obviously it's all incorrect, but it's just par for the course for me, and it's a bit sad because
so you've not been public. So the public venues that you're speaking at haven't suddenly been taken away from you.
Well, one was, and it wasn't really, I wouldn't say taken away, but because of the negative publicity the phone calls from media, I guess, and from one or two people sending emails and making false statements about me, it got the people windy, and they decided they didn't need they didn't want the negative publicity. They were certainly all for me coming there initially, and we're they've done their homework on me and recognise that I'm just dropping truth bombs and talking the truth and spinning facts.
Well, it's your version of the truth, to be fair, Matt, isn't it? I mean, I would probably disagree with some things you say. Can I just be?
Well,
Can I just ask here? Were you anti-vaccine, or were you anti the discrimination against people who were not vaccinated?
I'm very clearly anti-mandate, so anti-people having their rights to decide what goes in their body are taken away from them. I'm not anti-vax at all.
Right.
And I was part of a spokesman for the police and armed forces legal challenge, and there was a number of people that were in that challenge that were double vaxxed, and they just wanted the right to be able to choose. They were against the mandate side of things, so nothing anti-vax there. But that's the label that gets thrown on you when you question the narrative and you come out anti-mandate. It's just a very common theme that's not based on any facts,
So yourself, are you vaccinated?
I've chosen not to disclose that. I may or may not be, but I don't have any objection to anyone that wants to be vaccinated. I mean, that's just it's your God-given right to decide for yourself, and I would never discriminate against anyone whether they decided to be vaccinated or not. So it's not really the question. It's just about our basic human right to choose is what I'm focusing on.
Can I suggest to you, as somebody who's been a political activist in my time, that you probably need to do better than that answer. And can I put it to the reason why? If you were vaccinated, it would strengthen your case in actual fact in a funny sort of way, because it would allow you to say it's nothing about the vaccine, it's about removing the rights of people who have been denied essentially freedom of choice. If you were unvaccinated, then that would suggest to me that you distrusted the process of the COVID vaccination period. And I don't know what motivates Matt King considering you're running a political party.
Okay, so up until this point, Michael Laws, I have avoided that question because I made the decision that was my own personal decision, and it's my own personal right. But I am double vaxxed. I am. But I am dead against being told that I have to be vaccinated. I really am,
right?
And I'm really unhappy with so that's
Matt
I am
King,
double vaxxed.
No,
but
seriously,
that was pointless.
You have now strengthened. Yeah. You haven't weakened. You have strengthened your argument, and you need to.
And I came out on the platform. I came out on the platform with you, Michael.
You indeed did, and that's because that's good that you did, mate. I'm really pleased for you because I have considerable sympathy for what you're saying. I think you have more credibility, not less now. And you're quite right. So you're with me. I'm triple vaxxed, and I'm going. I don't like to see. I gave the example of the lady who worked at my gym losing her job and being denied her livelihood because she's exercised freedom of choice.
Yes, and I won't be getting boosted. That's for sure. And I'll tell you an interesting story too. Just quickly, I have a local brigade, fire brigade, and I was a member of it until I got too busy to be part of it. And there's only 24 strong, and 6 of them decided that they weren't going to be vaccinated, so they were dismissed or basically suspended.
Right. Yeah.
The remainder of the brigade stayed on and got double vaxxed, but now they've decided they don't want to get a booster every 3 months, so they've basically said no, we're not going to agree to that. And for a while there, they were stood down. The whole brigade was stood down. That included there was a fire in the local town that we service, and the neighbouring town had to send their brigade, who are also down on numbers as well. So. And that was a decision made by people that have been double vaxxed, have gone along with the program and agree or disagree, I don't know, but they did, but they will not get these ongoing booster shots. They just won't agree to it. They've seen through it. So, but for me, Michael, it's about your body autonomy, your sacred right to choose, and I think that anyone that's lost their careers, when loads of people have, it's just so wrong. It's just, I can't believe that people are having to make this decision.
No,
people that have got,
If I can make an analogy, you're looking at the person who introduced the voluntary euthanasia legislation into Parliament when I was an MP.
Yes.
So I inherit, all right, and I'm an inherent believer that you are in charge of your own body, and that the choices are yours, and other people shouldn't make moral choices for you. And
I support that. I supported that legislation. I agree with it.
So in essence, you are being logically consistent, aren't you? You're being intellectually honest. You're saying, if that extends to me, and it extends to, say, women and their right to choose on abortion, then it also chooses that these people over here shouldn't be disadvantaged because they're choosing not to vaccinate. Now, I accept that if you weren't vaccinated and you were working on a hospital ward, there is the potential for significant danger, but you could be reallocated anywhere, I would have thought. But I don't get that for gyms. I don't get that for who... you could take so many different safeguards other than losing your job.
Look, I've seen people that have serious health conditions, as in blood clots and stroke tendency, that in their family and in their history, that have for very good reasons have taken medical advice and don't want to be vaccinated, and tried to get an exemption and had Bloomfield decline and say you have to get vaxxed. So then they're making this decision: do I keep my career or do I take a Russian roulette? Yeah, and that's what I find offensive, and I'll fight that till the end. The person's right to,
Okay, now, Matt, you're a politician. You were elected as a mainstream politician, the Member of Parliament for Northland. So Yep, I have summoned. I'm aware of the fact that you're not a fringe nutter. Therefore, the Democracy New Zealand, this political party that you've formed, I understand why you're doing it, but I guess at the end of the day, you don't really expect to be troubling the 5% at the next election. No,
I disagree. I think that, and I'll tell you why. there's two options here. I believe that there is a considerable number of people in this country that are politically homeless because when the mandate protest came on, and it was, the polls said that a good 30% of New Zealand supported the right for people to protest in that protest. The parties of both sides of the House did not come out and give the protesters the decency of at least listening to their concerns. And I think that people, and it happened to me, I'm politically homeless when that happened, because
I'm pretty sure that Winston Peters in New Zealand First, he was there. I'm pretty sure that there's a home also there, isn't there, for those who believe what you believe?
Well, you have more knowledge than I do about the workings of that man.
No, I knew.
I've got no time for him.
Okay, well, so it's a personal thing then. See,
I'd made a judge. I've made a judgment call on that man and what he does and how he operates, and I won't have a bar of working with him.
All right.
I mean, I respect his position, and I respect his achievements, and I'm not down on that. But I have no alignment with that man and the way he operates. He only turned up for 30 minutes one day in a stage manager's presence and walked through there. So I was there for 4 days at 2 different times, and I actually got down in the trenches and talked to people and understood what was going on. And I saw a large number of people there that were just regular Kiwis. I mean, the majority of them. The only time that things got bad were right at the end when some infiltrators come in and it did. They weren't the protesters.
I have to say, they probably overstayed their welcome. But then I think that the person I sort of blame for provoking them was Mallard. I just think that, didn't he? It was the first weekend he turned on the sprinklers, and I thought, you wanker. Good word. But I mean, everybody thought that in New Zealand. It was just such a... Even if you opposed the protest, you went, you absolute moron. All you've done...
Yeah, and when he
Oh, and then when he
trespassed me, he trespassed me and a few others, Rodney Hyde and Winston and a few others, and I just thought that guy he does not deserve the position. He certainly doesn't hold the mana to operate in that position that he's had.
No, all right.
That he has.
Okay, Matt, listen, I won't be voting for you at the next election, but I wish you well. You are in the contest of ideas. No, you're in the contest of ideas. Yep. Frankly, our political system is better for having these ideas debated and discussed. Thank you for doing your bit on that.
Appreciate your time, Michael.
Okay, mate.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.